After playing the role of Wolverine for 17 years, Hugh Jackman's Logan is finally on home video. Check the affiliate link below for more information. Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and oh my god. Sony announced that they're giving Tom Holland another franchise, and this time it's to play young Nathan Drake in the Uncharted series. Okay, not who I would have cast, but I'm not against it. So this is a franchise that's been running around since 2007. It's a grand, fantastic franchise, which just a year ago, actually, like 2 weeks ago, saw the last entry in that particular franchise come out with Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. And of course, this summer we get Uncharted Lost Legacy, which is a spinoff featuring 2 characters from that particular series, which looks pretty good. But this time around, Sony is deciding that they want to kind of go back to the drawing board with the film franchise and go back to young Nathan Drake and then build off of it from there, starring Tom Holland. The 20-year-old actor has been cast as that role, a role that you would think would go to someone probably in their early to mid-30s, because that's the age, at least age appropriate, of the character of Nathan Drake all the way through the films, with maybe the exception of the games, maybe with the exception of the 4th one. For me, perfect casting would be Nathan Fillion. I think he has been well deserving of an action franchise akin to Indiana Jones, and Uncharted just seems up his particular alley. But of course, they didn't want that. If you remember, a couple years ago, David O. Russell was attached to direct the film, and there was talks about putting Mark Wahlberg in the role of Nathan Drake, and fans were like, "Fuck that noise." Like, people even went to David O. Russell at events and were like accosting him over that particular rumor. So much so that eventually, and I don't even know if these two are related, but I'm just going to go out and say that they are because I feel like they are. I think that they are, at least. That, you know, that was one of the reasons why it just kind of happened to fall apart. And then it popped into limbo. And then Joe Carnahan came on board to direct, which I think that would have been a much more grittier take on the particular character. Not as gritty as maybe David O. Russell would have made it, but I would say gritty in the sense that it would have been very action-packed, very action-heavy, with you know, with like a particular like theme or feel to it. But it would have been like probably more akin to, let's say, A-Team versus The Grey, which, if you ever want to watch a movie to make you feel better about your own life, watch The Grey. Good film, just depressing as all hell. A-Team was just a very competently made action film that just failed to connect with audiences 7 years ago when it came out. No, I'm not even kidding you. With A-Team, real quick side thing here. Go watch that movie again. There are like 7 action set pieces in that movie. Not like small set pieces. I mean like big set pieces. And in movies like that, there are usually maybe 3, 4 if we're lucky. This had like 7. It was insane. But what they want to do is probably draw heavy influence from Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, which touches a bit on him as a young man, meeting with Victor Sullivan, and then that's, you know, his mentor, his father figure, so to speak, and them going off and then starting the life of tomb raiding. Whereas in Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, we get a lot of time spent with Nate and his brother Sam, and then you get a big, not a big chunk, but like a solid hour middle of the game where it's a lot of dialogue between Sam and Nathan as they break into a woman's house and kind of like they look to get back something that belonged to their mother, who happened to be a researcher for this explorer. It was a cool little side story. But I think that's what they're probably going to pull from. So if I had to guess, it would be post A Thief's End, maybe with some flashbacks to A Thief's End in terms of that particular aspect, and then starting off with him meeting Victor Sullivan and then going from there and pulling off a gigantic caper. And that's probably what it's going to be. Now, in the game, there is a lot of violence. There's a lot of killing. Nathan kills a lot of dudes, to the point of where even in the second game, when you fight, I think, Lazarick, whatever the bad guy was in the second one, as you're getting ready to kill him, he actually points out, he says, how many, you know, you're trying to stop me from killing the world or whatever, but how many men did you kill just to get to me? You know, kind of putting that back on him, the overuse of violence that Drake had to do in order to get to the bad guy. And that was actually a thought process that went into the 4th game. Neil Druckmann, who wrote The Last of Us and also did Uncharted 4, he took that mindset and kind of did away with it. There was less action in the fourth game, focusing more on story than the other. I mean, there were still action set pieces, but they were kind of really stretched out to the point of where it almost made the game not a lot of fun to even go back and play again, outside of just reliving the story, because the action wasn't as heavy as it could have been, and that was definitely Druckmann's fault. However, this is where I think things are right now. So what we know is that Sony had talked about this a couple years ago, back in 2014, doing the Last of Us movie, Sam Raimi to produce. I was actually at the Comic-Con panel for that. Blew my mind. I had no fucking idea that they were working on a movie, but that movie has become stagnant. And Neil Druckmann is currently working on writing The Last of Us 2, or well, he's already written it, and that's currently in production. I don't know if it comes out this year or next year, but that's what they've been working on. And as a result, I think that because the Uncharted movie, or the Last of Us movie that Druckmann was supposed to be writing is kind of currently on ice, they are probably going to go to Druckmann to do the script for this one, because he penned that story of early Nathan Drake's life. And I think that's what's going to happen. Sean Levy is currently attached to direct. Sean Levy did Real Steel, and also many episodes of Stranger Things. Also the Night at the Museum movies, just in case you want to, good with like, okay, maybe not so good stuff. Even though I like those movies, some people might not. The point is, Sean Levy is a competent, straightforward kind of action adventure director, right? And this is what leads me to believe that Uncharted, the movie, is going to be PG-13. It's going to pull more from Uncharted 4, which was PG-13. It's going to not have as much violence in it, but probably lots of action set pieces that are very physical in nature, which, looking at Tom Holland being Spider-Man, he'll have been training for that kind of acrobatics and whatnot, so he'll be able to easily do the whole act and everything else. And then they're going to build up from there. So we probably won't get Sam, we probably won't get Chloe, we probably won't get Elena, we probably won't get anybody for the first movie, because that's going to be kind of the origin film and kicking off the franchise from there. And if you're asking why this is happening now, well, here's the thing. Sony needs a win. I think they know that Dark Tower is not going to do as well as they want. I think they know that the Emoji Movie is not going to do as well as they want. Spider-Man's going to be a hit, but that's mostly because it's going to be tied into Marvel and everyone wants to fucking see it. They need a win. And so pushing for an Uncharted movie to come out is probably what they are wanting to do in order to kind of give themselves another winning franchise. And if they're basing it off of a successful game and they bring in the successful game writer to handle the script and a competent director that can turn out these kind of big budget, very studio friendly films, then I think it's going to work out better for everyone involved. I'm cautiously optimistic for this. I like Tom Holland as an actor. I like him as Peter Parker. I think he could probably hold his own as Nathan Drake in terms of the quips. Keep in mind that Tom Holland got the role of Spider-Man over Asa Butterfield, who was the front-running contender back in 2015. When, from what I heard is that they were set on Asa Butterfield. He did like the screen test, the costume test, everything, but they put him in a room with Robert Downey Jr. and they wanted him to riff off Robert Downey Jr. and he couldn't do it. He couldn't tap into that type of comedic back and forth, the camaraderie, right? That Tony and Peter Parker have in the comics. And so that kind of cast them out. So then they brought in Tom Holland, and Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. were just able to go back and forth. Just they had that banter, that charisma, as we got to see in Civil War last year. And I have a feeling that is pretty much what solidified him in that role. And then that particular mindset, as a lot of Nathan Drake, a lot of witty one-liners and those kind of comments and everything, a lot of sarcasm, and they're going to want that to sell the character to a larger audience. So yeah, I think that's what's going to happen here. It feels like they're trying to reboot a lot of these video game to movie adaptations, and I'm very curious to see what happens next. But I want to know your thoughts. Do you think that Tom Holland is going to be good at this? Do you think that Sean Levy will be a good director? Do you think Sony's just going to play it safe with PG-13, not a lot of action, or not a lot of violence, but just lots of action? And do you think it can actually be successful? I'm very curious to know your guys' thoughts on this. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If you guys haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, check back often for more movie news commentary from me. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.